Hey guys, I'm going to go over today's reading lesson with you. So if you'll look in Google Classroom at Wednesday 2-3 reading, I'm going to go over the lesson with you first, and then we're going to do a drama practice together, and then you can go do your one and only Ivan. Alright, so first let's click Drama 6-8. Okay. So we're going to open it with our pencil. And the first thing that we need to do whenever we see a story is, other than put your name on it, right, underline the title. So your title today is Brothers, and it's written by Trent Compton. And if we look up here in the corner, it tells us that this is a drama. If you remember, a drama is like a play. So we're going to go through this together, and we're going to read it and then answer some questions about it. So first we've underlined our title. The second thing that we need to do is scan the text. Okay, so when I look at this, I see Act 1. Remember that an act is like a chapter, but in a play. So this is like the first chapter of the play story. Okay, this first part is actually, you see how it's like in slanty italics? That means the words are slanted. That is our setting. It's telling us like the background information that we need to know before we actually start. Okay, so what else do you see? I see character names, and you don't have to box them the whole way through. I just want you to notice that it is characters because this is a script. I see, what are these things called when it tells you like what to do or how to say it? Stage directions. So it tells the character how to say their line or what to do while they say their line. Then if we keep looking, I see Act 2, so this is kind of like Chapter 2. And then this part tells me the scene. Okay, so that's when the setting has changed. So the setting or the scene. And remember, if at any point you need to catch up, just go ahead and pause the video. I'm going to look back up at the top, and I'm going to add the word scene right here as well. Alright, so I still see Ben and Jeffrey are my main characters. I do still see that they have words to say and stage directions. So let's look at our next page. Okay, so that was it for the story. So that's all the scanning that we had to do. So what do we do after we underline our title and we scan the text? We preview the questions. Oh, no, don't disregard changes. Alright, so question 1 says the stage directions at the beginning of Act 1 help the reader by, so we need to look back at the stage directions. And it says the beginning of Act 1, so that's telling us where specifically we need to look. And I want to know, how does that help the reader? Like, what's it doing for me? Why is it there? Okay, number 2 says the play is separated into acts because, so I want to know why. Like, why didn't the author or the playwright just give me all of the information and all of the action at once? Why did they split it up into 2 different things? Okay, number 3 says the conversation between Ben and Jeffrey was included to show that. So basically, why did the author or the playwright include that? Why didn't he just tell us what was going on? Why did he want to have the characters talking back and forth? Number 4 says, which of the following best explains what Ben thinks Jeffrey should do? Okay, so it's asking about my characters and what he thinks. So it's a character question. Okay, let's look at number 5. The author organizes the play by, now it's not author's purpose. I want to know, how did he set it up? Like, is it in order, or is it comparing something, or is it telling me all about one thing, or is it a problem and a solution? That's called the text structure. I just basically want to know, like, how did he set this up? How did he write this play? This is one of those questions where we need to really pay attention to the verbs in our answer choices. Number 6 says, read paragraph 7 of the play. So that's down here. These lines suggest that Jeffrey believes, so it's asking me about one of my characters, so it's a character question. I want to know, what does he believe based on just that paragraph? Oh, this tells me that when I was scanning, I think I accidentally missed one of my underlined words. I'm going to have to go back and fix that. It says, read the dictionary entry for the word deal. Which meaning best matches the way the word deal is used in paragraph 7. So it is a look back, and it is asking me about a word meaning, so vocabulary. Alright, so that's all my questions. So let's go back to our story, and that paragraph 7 is where that word was. He can deal with it. Alright, so now we're ready to read our story. So you need your highlighter. This is Brothers by Trent Compton, Act 1. The play starts as Jeffrey and Ben, two brothers, are riding their bicycles down a hill together. They turn off onto a side street, but Jeffrey is going too fast to make the turn properly. He careens off the road and crashes into a parked car. Whew, that was important to know before we started reading. So Ben says, and it says concerned, so he's not just going to go, Jeffrey, you okay? He's going to read it in a very concerned voice. Jeffrey, are you okay? Jeffrey, dazed. Now, you wouldn't actually read the word dazed out loud. He's just like, I think so. I'm just bruised in a few places is all. So do you see how those words in parentheses, those stage directions, they're affecting how the character is going to say his part. So I'm not going to keep reading those stage directions out loud. And I'm not going to keep saying the characters' names out loud either. I'm actually just going to read their parts. So try to follow along with me. I'm going to start back over when Ben starts talking. Jeffrey, are you okay? I think so. I'm just bruised in a few places is all. Wait, Jeffrey, look behind you. This is bad. Okay, now read these stage directions in your head. He points to the car that Jeffrey crashed into. One of the headlights is broken from the bike's impact. Ben, let's get out of here, okay? You aren't going to tell the owner of this car what happened? Well, look at his house and his car. He is clearly rich, so he can deal with it. I certainly couldn't pay for a headlight. Is that what he should have been doing? Probably not. If that's what you want to do, I won't stop you. I just really think you should come clean. Come on, we're leaving. Okay, so that's the end of that act. Now, this is Act 2, so in a play, those characters would have gone off stage, and there would probably be, like, the lights would dim, and they might have to change out some of the props on the stage, because the setting is changing. Because this setting now says, later that night, the two brothers have gone to bed. They lie on a bunk bed, Jeffrey on the top, and Ben on the bottom bunk. A fan blows, but other than that, the dark room is silent. So if they were putting this play on a stage, like in a theater, they would have had to dim the lights and close the curtains, and they would change out the whole scene and the whole backdrop. That way, when they open the curtains again, it would be the two brothers in a bedroom, like on the bunk beds. Alright, so remember, you're reading the stage directions in your head. Are you awake, Ben? I can't get to sleep. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe it has something to do with your guilt? The way you left that broken headlight without telling the owner? Come on, it really isn't that big of a deal, is it? Is it a big deal? I think so. When you break something, you should be accountable. Since you weren't caught, you need to decide what you're going to do about it. But if you can't sleep, I think you've already decided, though. Or at least your conscience decided for you. Fine, fine, I get it. I'll go back to that house tomorrow morning and tell the owner what happened. It's my duty. Of course I will. What are brothers for, after all? So, at the end, Jeffrey didn't actually want to go tell him, so Ben was going to go with him and tell him. That's kind of what they were hoping that you would get right there. Alright, so we've read our story. Our next task is to go to our questions. It says, the stage directions at the beginning of Act 1 help the reader by... So I need to go back and look at the beginning of Act 1. So the stage directions. Concerned, dazed, gasps, rubs the back of his neck. So are those things explaining why Jeffrey is reckless? Like, are they telling me why he's like, woo, I don't care? Are they describing the accident? Like, he was shocked and then he was hurt and now he's rubbing his neck. Maybe. Showing that Ben is worried about Jeffrey. Let me click the back arrow. Okay, so he's concerned. That is something that's happening. Showing that the boys share a bedroom. Did you hear that in the beginning of Act 1? No. So now we're down to 2 different options. So I want the stage directions at the beginning of Act 1. So let's go back and look one more time. Okay, so I think it depends on if they're going to be counting. Let me change this. I think it depends on if they're talking about this part or these. So I want you to think about the difference between those. Okay? This part, is that a stage direction? Like, is it telling the characters how to say their lines and what to do? This part is the stage direction. That is what is telling them what to do and how to do it. Okay, so whenever you're thinking like that, now you can go back, maybe, to your questions and think, okay, dazed, concerned, that's not describing an accident. Concerned is helping me show that Ben is worried about Jeffrey. Because it really depends on how the way he said that. Okay, so like if I saw somebody crash and I just went up and I was like, are you okay? Then that probably doesn't show that I care that much. I'm laughing at them. However, if I went up and I said, are you okay? That's completely different. That's showing me that Ben is actually worried about his brother. Okay? That's why those stage directions are important. It tells the character how to say their part. Okay, number 2 says the play is separated into acts because... Okay, so we had that first act where they were riding their bikes and they crashed. And then we had the second act. Remember, the curtains closed, they changed out all the props, they opened them back up, and now they're in bunk beds. Okay, so think about that. Did Act 2 have different characters? Nope, still just Ben and Jeffrey. Was Act 1 longer than Act 2? Is that why they separated it? Like, does your author of a book make different chapters because one of them is longer than the other? No. I mean, it might be. Like, it might be longer than the other one, but that's not why we have acts and chapters. The 2 acts happen in the same place. Unless their bunk bed is in the street, I don't think it happened in the same place. The 2 acts happen at different times. Yes, for sure, because one happened earlier in the day when they were outside riding bikes, and Act 2 happened whenever they were back at their house later that night. So they do that because they can't show everything all at once. Okay, it had to switch places and times. Number 3 says the conversation between Ben and Jeffrey was included to show that. So why didn't the author just tell us a story like, once upon a time, Ben and Jeffrey were riding their bikes. Jeffrey crashed into a car and Ben was very worried about him. The 2 boys, like, why didn't they tell it like that? Why did they have them go back and forth in a conversation? Was it to show that Jeffrey cares about what Ben thinks? Was it to show that Ben is older than Jeffrey? Was it to show that the two brothers argue all the time? Or was it to show that the car owner knows Jeffrey? All right, so let's look back. So if we're looking at our story, it says several different things throughout, like this whole thing is a conversation. It's not just like one little piece. The whole thing is a conversation. Okay, so why did he set it up like that? So at first, Ben's like, "Are you okay?" Jeffrey, "Sure." Ben, "Oh my gosh, look behind you." Jeffrey, "Let's go." Ben, "You're not going to tell him?" Jeffrey, "Heck no, he can do it himself." Ben, okay." Jeffrey, "Let's go." And then that night, he's like, "Are you awake?" Yeah, I wonder why you're awake." "It's not that big a deal, right?" "Yes, it's a big deal." Fine. So, based on that conversation, do you think that he did that to show that Jeffrey cares about what Ben thinks? Probably not. Because he kind of kept pushing what he thought. Ben is older than Jeffrey? Well, I mean, he said that at one point, but was that the whole reason why there was a conversation? Just to show you that Ben was older? No. The two brothers argue all the time? I'm going to say maybe, because that was not the most pleasant conversation ever, and they definitely disagreed the entire time. The car owner knows Jeffrey. It didn't sound like it. He didn't say like, "Oh, Mr. Johnson's car." He said, "Are you not going to go tell the car owner?" So I don't think that they knew him. All right, number 4. Which of the following best explains what Ben thinks Jeffrey should do? So, Jeffrey's the one that crashed his bike. What does Ben think that Jeffrey should do after that? "Jeffrey, are you okay?" That doesn't tell Jeffrey what to do. "Wait, Jeffrey, look behind you. This is bad." That also doesn't tell him what to do. "If that's what you want to do, I won't stop you. I just really think you should come clean." You should. What should he do? Yeah, that sounds pretty good. "Of course I will. What are brothers for, after all?" That's still not what Jeffrey would do. So the only one that talks about Jeffrey doing anything is H. Okay, number 5. The author organizes the play by, this is the one where I said, like, how does he set up the play? Does he set up the play by telling me things that happened in order? Does he tell me, like, a problem and how to fix it? Does he compare things? What's the deal here? How's it set up? Does he tell me the cause of the accident in Act 1 and its effect in Act 2? What was the effect of the accident? Like, what happened because he crashed his bike? The headlight was broken. Well, he told you that in Act 1. So that's not going to work. Comparing Ben and Jeffrey. He didn't say, well, Ben is this and Jeffrey's this, and Ben likes this and Jeffrey likes this. Setting up the problem, the accident, in Act 1, and the solution in Act 2, so how to fix it. Because, what was the problem? He crashed his bike. How are they going to fix it now? They're going to go talk to the owner. Using details to describe the accident. That was at the very beginning, whenever they had the setting and the scene. So that's not throughout the whole story. The only one that matches the whole story is C. Number 6. Read paragraph 7 of the play. Well, look at his house and his car. He is clearly rich, so he can deal with it. I certainly couldn't pay for a headlight. So what does that tell you about how Jeffrey is feeling right then? He believes that rich people have expensive cars. He believes he shouldn't have to pay to fix the car. He believes the owner of the car is angry, or he believes that no one knows that he damaged the car. What do you think? The answer is G. He doesn't think he should have to pay for it because that guy is clearly rich, so he can pay for it, right? That's not the right way to think. That is what he believes, but that's not correct, is it? If you mess something up, you need to be the one to fix it. Okay. Last one is number 7. Read the dictionary entry for the word deal. That's what the word... Try again. That's what they were talking about in paragraph 6 when they said, well, then he can deal with it. He's clearly rich. So, well, then he can handle it. Yeah, that sounds good. Well, then he can act like it. No. Well, then he can do business. Like make a business deal. No. Well, then he can pass out the cards in the poker game. No. Whenever you're saying that someone can deal with it, you're saying they can handle it, I'm going to stay out of it. That is what he meant. Alright, so I'm going to do save. Hopefully it will save for me. Maybe. Okay. Hopefully yours saved. Mine didn't, but that's okay. Alright, and then the next thing that we're going to do is a quick drama practice, just like we did the other day. We're going to open it with our pencil. So you find yours and open it with your pencil tool as well. We're going to go ahead and put our name. I think the only reason mine didn't save was because I'm screen recording right now for you. So that's okay. The 3rd. Okay. Elements of drama. Highlight each part of the drama using the key below. Alright, so cast of characters. They want us to highlight our cast of characters blue. Do you remember what a cast of characters is? I think that Bryson is the one who told us this the other day. Right, it's a group of the people that are acting in the play. So that would be this part right here. So in this play, called, I don't know what it's called. I don't see a title, do you? So in this play, there are going to be several characters. We have the storyteller, Mother Grizzly, the older brother, the younger brother, the hawk, the fox, the badger, Mother Deer, 2 fawns, a mountain lion, a mouse, and a measuring worm named Tutakana. So those are all of the characters, or the people who are going to have parts in this play. Your narrator needs to be highlighted in green. What's your narrator's job? Do you remember? Right, it's your narrator's job to tell what's happening in the story. So your narrator, I don't know if, oh, here we go. Right here. So your narrator's part in this one is called a storyteller. And the reason that it's called a storyteller in this one, and it's not always, is because of the type of story this is. This is supposed to be, I think, like an Indian story, like an Indian tale. So usually they would be gathered around like a fire, telling the story together. And that's in this section right here called the prologue. The prologue means something that you need to know before the story happens. Okay? Next, we need to know our setting, and it wants us to make our setting orange. Okay, so let's see where that is. So our setting this time is going to be a forest and a mountain that are on stage left. An open sky dotted with clouds, stage right. So the way they're going to make that is with a blue cloth or painted cardboard across the front of the stage, making a river. Okay, the next thing that we need is the act. That's going to be in purple. Remember, the act is like the chapter. Okay, so that would be the whole thing, huh? There's only one act because look, whenever we start right here, that says scene 1. So this whole thing is the act. Okay, next we have a scene in pink. Okay, so scene 1, right here. So they're telling us like we have a whole act, and the first scene that's taking place in the forest and the mountain by the river, that's this part. Dialogue is going to be in red. What does dialogue mean again? Remember? It's the things that people are saying. So, like this part. Don't be afraid of a little water, younger brother. I'm not, older brother. Children, stop scaring away the fish, or we will have nothing to eat. Out of the water, not. I want you to gather berries, but stay close and do not go down river. Strange things happen there. Look at these berries. They're so sweet. Taste them. Now, if you notice, I didn't just highlight every single word that I saw in there. I only highlighted what they're saying out loud because that is the dialogue. Because when I go back and I look at my stage directions, that's what all of this part is for. Enters from stage left. Your storyteller is not going to say that out loud. She's just going to do it. When you look over here, this is saying that Mother Grizzly enters from stage left, holding a fish basket, and stands on the riverbank. Her cubs, younger brother and older brother, enter and begin to play in the water. So that's telling me what those characters are going to do. Older brother is laughing and splashing as he says, "Don't be afraid of a little water, younger brother." And younger brother, "I'm not, older brother." He's splashing water back on it. That's when Mother Grizzly comes in and she scolds them, gets on to them. They do what she says, but they splash a couple more times real quick. Tells me that Mother Grizzly moves to stage left, the cubs move to stage right, while playing and pushing each other, and a berry bush appears. And then he picks them and eats them greedily. So the red is what they're saying out loud, but the yellow is what they are doing while they're talking. Does that make sense? Okay. If you need to catch up, take a second and catch up. I just wanted to get through it real quick, and then you can kind of go back and pause as you need to. Okay, so I'm going to hit save. I have a feeling it's not going to work again, so I'm just going to go back. Okay, let's see. Okay, so the last thing that you have for reading today is to click on the YouTube video right here of Charlotte's Web. So that's going to open it up in Chrome because I don't think that you have YouTube. And then you can turn in all of your work. So make sure you do turn in. And then you can go do your one and only Ivan. So that's in a separate video. So make sure you go and you listen to it and you read along in your book as I'm reading it on the video. And then there will be an activity to do with it. And the papers for the activity are in the cardboard box by the printer in our room. Okay, so let Miss Partney get what she needs out of that box to give to you, okay? All right.